It is breaking news from the White House here this afternoon, as we have the best sign we're going to get before it actually happens, that the president indeed will sign this proclamation on steel and aluminum tariffs this afternoon, 3:30 Eastern time. If there had been any debate, the White House now has announced the president indeed will sign it. Former budget director, former governor of Indiana, current president of Purdue University, Mitch Daniels joins us now. Governor, good to see you. It's mention your titles and former titles. You would have a unique perspective, having seen all of these types of debates from many different chairs. What do you make of this one? The president's talked, for example, about tariffs, 25 and 10, steel and aluminum, but exempting certain countries, maybe Canada, maybe Mexico, maybe more.
Well, Connell, I steer clear of most things political these days in deference to my current job, but I'll give you an academic answer.
Sure.
Here at Purdue, we have some of the finest economists in the country. I've yet to find one who can make any argument for this move. It's pretty well documented and understood that it'll cost jobs, run up prices in this country, and it's unclear what foreign policy, let alone national security, rationale would justify the price we're going to pay. So it does seem an unfortunate decision. Maybe there's a game plan here so clever none of us have figured it out for coming to some terms with other countries. But right now, that'd be pretty hard to identify.
Yeah, we'd be happy to engage in an academic discussion. We've had a few of them. We've also had some screaming and yelling matches with people on different parts of this issue throughout the week. But I thought it was interesting. I caught part of this as the president was in his cabinet meeting earlier today. He actually mentioned history, and the United States pre-World War II did have many presidents who were protectionists, right? I mean, I think he mentioned a couple. He mentioned President Jackson, and he mentioned somebody else after that, I believe. But there was a protectionist country for years, and then it all changed after World War II. But will it ever work again?
Developing countries, when we were a lesser developed country in the current parlance, that developing countries have tried this from time to time. The historical reference for, of course, most of us is the 1930s, where it didn't work out too well. It's interesting to think about this from the standpoint of Indiana. We're the #1 steel state in the country, have been for 40 years. Okay. Proud of that and of the people who make it possible. But we're also the #2 auto state, the #1 RV state, and one of the most manufacturing intensive states in the country. So even here in Indiana, the leading steel state, I think it'll be a big, it's a danger, it'll be a big net loser of jobs and obviously of cost to consumers. Yeah,
all the studies have shown that net you end up losing jobs on this. I mean, especially if other countries retaliate or other groups of countries like the European Union retaliate as they've threatened to do. I have a question on your job there at Purdue in a moment, but if you'll indulge one more question, kind of big picture on all of this. The next one that we're told is coming down the pipe is something specifically dealing with China and the theft of intellectual property by the Chinese. So are you, as we were saying, it's an academic discussion, opposed in general just to the idea of tariffs or punishment of other countries across the board? Or are there times when, if someone's cheating, you need to go after them?
I think on a very country-specific and issue-specific basis, there's always room to look out for the interests of this country, and without knowing exactly what measures they might be contemplating, I think you're on a lot firmer ground there. There have been abuses. We do know that. Yeah. You can't find any rationale like that I can't anyway, in the steel and aluminum area, and so I think it'd be a much more auspicious ground to have a trade debate over.
Right, because it's pretty much, I mean, there really isn't much pushback that the Chinese are not playing fair there and stealing our intellectual property, our ideas, and the numbers add up, depending on which study you look at, maybe $500 or $600 billion in a single year, which is obviously a lot of money. Now, I said I had a question about your current position at Purdue, and it's interesting because maybe we should talk more about this, but the way universities are going, and I know you have this acquisition in the works that you're going to buy Kaplan University, and it looks like you're really moving in, correct me if I'm wrong or expand on it, moving into this idea of a big move to online education. Tell us about it.
Expand is the word I would use. Really, we want to expand our service to a whole universe of people that are in need of further education, and the country needs them to earn it. I'm talking about working adults who we don't serve right now at Purdue University, and there are 36 million of our fellow citizens who started college and never finished.
Right.
It's a huge opportunity if we could get them to a higher place in terms of their skills and education. Be a great way for them to improve their lives, and obviously the nation needs more trained workers.
So you're done with this deal?
Yes, we're going to close within 2 weeks. We got the final regulatory approval last Thursday. The school will open as Purdue University Global, Purdue Global, in April, and we're very excited about it. You know, the Chronicle of Higher Education, which is sort of the Bible of establishment higher ed, has a special report out right now that says the adult learner, the population higher ed can no longer ignore. And we agree with that completely. We want to extend the kind of quality education that Purdue is known for to a population that missed it the first time and deserves a chance at it now.
We have to go, but just real quick, that sounds like something in the trade debate almost, like when it comes to retraining and people who are trying to go one job to another. Is that fair?
Absolutely it is. Yeah. And along the way, we hope to be at the front edge of online education. It has applications in our traditional 18 to 22 population, but our first focus is really on expanding our mission to our fellow citizens, many of whom are hungry for more learning, but life got in the way, and right now, you know, they can't move to our campus for 4 years.
No, it makes sense. Do it online. Good luck with that. Keep us up to date, and thank you for coming on today. We appreciate it.
Thanks, Connell.